Good afternoon. I'd like to call this joint meeting of Internal Services and Records and Public Safety Committee to order. Can we have the roll called? Oh, excuse me, Pledge of Allegiance. Will you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Don't do a roll call? Don't.
No roll calls needed now because we're back in public session.
Oh, okay.
So
That's
I'll
what.
make a motion to approve the agenda, though.
Is there a second?
I'll support it.
Thank you. Any discussion? Please vote.
Yeah, Crystal,
But Adriana can do yours.
it didn't accept my password. I want to try to do another one and I can't one in case oh, my.
Please pardon us, little technical difficulty here.
The motion passes 12 to 0.
You guys, yeah, yes, you guys can go on while we're figuring this out.
Okay. There's a majority for adopting the agenda, so adopt it. We'll move on to approval of the minutes. We have two sets of minutes to approve. Do I hear a motion to take them together?
Chair, I'll make a motion to approve both.
Thank you, Commissioner
Support.
Zong. Is there support?
Support.
Commissioner Farrington, support. Thank you. Is there any discussion on the minutes of the, yes, Commissioner Kleinfeld?
Thank you, Chair. The first set, which I believe is the 12th, at that meeting, I requested that my absence on the 13th, that the minutes state that I was representing Michigan at a NACO Board of Directors meeting. The minutes just say excused Kleinfeld. If I could, if the motion maker would be okay with that change, that it states Commissioner Kleinfeld was representing Michigan at a NACO Board of Directors meeting. Thank
Commissioner
you.
Zong?
Yes, Commissioner Song makes that motion to accept that inclusion.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you.
Any further discussion?
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. We did note that, Commissioner Kleinfeld. We've made that correction to the minutes. Thank you. But we still need to approve it, though, so thank you, Mr.
Yeah.
Chairman.
Okay, so this will approve the minutes with that correction in it. Any other discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, vote please.
Hara votes yes.
The motion passes 13 to 0.
Okay, the minutes are approved. Moving on to topic 5, public participation. The public will be allowed to participate at this point on any subject on today's agenda for a maximum of 3 minutes. Anybody using derogatory or inappropriate language will be removed from the meeting. Thank you. Is there anybody in the public who wishes to speak? Anyone in the public wishing to speak? Seeing none, we'll close public participation. Item 6, Internal Services Committee Department Recommendations. A, Contract Amendment Number 2 for Department of the Army, Macomb County Drain Digitization Study for Public Works. County cost for 2022, $175,750. Jacob.
Chair, I'll make a motion to move to full board.
Thank you.
Support.
I'll support.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Commissioner. Nice to meet you in person, see you in person, different times for us. The reason we're here with this one, we are requesting an increase to the contract that we originally brought to you in 2019. This is to do scanning for Public Works. At that time when we brought it to you, Candace secured a 50-50 match grant with the Army Corps. And that was implemented, and we started work on that right away. The reason we're here today for an increase is because the vendor, Vastec, came to us not too long ago and informed us that they grossly underestimated the work that had to be done. We brought this forward to the Army Corps because the Army Corps is the one that contracted this. We are not doing the contracting or anything. We just contract with the Army Corps. We brought it forward to them, and they sat down, renegotiated the agreement, and they then came up with a new increased contribution of $630,750 per, for the 50% match. In other words, it turns out to be a $1.26 million effort. Our contribution, a large part of our contribution is made in-kind contributions. So what we want to do is we want to do a $240,000 increase in-kind contributions for 2021.
Excuse me, Jacob, would you turn the mic on and use it, please?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry. So, increasing that, we as the county's contribution is going to be the $637.50 that I mentioned. Our contributions has been in kind, which at this point in time is $60,000. We're going to increase that to $300,000, and that will be our contribution for 21. In other words, there will be no additional cash contribution from the county needed to continue this project. What we then plan to do is put an additional amount of $175,750 into the budget, additionally to the $155,000 that we paid in the beginning, as well as a $16,000 contingency. And that is the amount in cash that we need, and that we will put in the 2022 budget, and the project can continue from now on until then. The Army Corps has approved already to do the 50 match, the increased 50% match. So in essence, at the end of the day, we are just over $300,000 that the county has to pay in cash for a project that's $1.26 million. So, any questions?
Mr. Chair, I have a question. We seem to have the wrong thing up on our screen in terms of raising hands. At least I do. Mine is on the juvenile one, but I have a question on this one, if I may.
Okay, we have a couple of speakers listed.
Okay.
Commissioner's on.
Thank you, Chair.
Excuse me.
Hi, Jaco. Nice to
Hi,
finally meet
Commissioner.
you in person.
Hi, Chief.
Could you tell me a little bit more about the AmeriCorps relationship and why they're willing to support the 50% charges? I mean, I'm all for that. I think that's great, but I'd like to learn more about the relationship.
Yeah, it is a grant, like I said, that Candace Miller at the time that that was negotiated, she had some contacts in the Army Corps and got that grant for us. The reason why I wasn't part of that communication at that point in time. All I know was when we started out this project, it was a $2 million estimated project. That's the first quote we got from a company. And we ended up having to spend at that point in time $155,000 with some in-kind contribution. So more than that, I cannot tell you. It's a contractual relationship, and that's really why we're here, is to change that contract for the new contracted amount.
Okay. I was just a little concerned if there were any strings attached, like if the documents that are being scanned, are they receiving any of this information, and are they using it, for their own purposes? But it doesn't sound like it.
No.
It sounds, it's just a grant.
No, it's just a grant, but they are actually running the scanning project on our behalf.
Okay,
So,
great. Thank you, and thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Farrington?
Thank you, Chairman. Chuck, appreciate you coming in. So basically, we need to add $240,000 of county money to meet the new change, correct?
For this year,
For this year,
yeah,
that's all we're doing.
$240,000 in-kind contribution, so it's not an actual cash layout, but more work that we do on our side.
So you're just talking
That's-
staff?
We're just talking staff, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Matusik?
I'm a little confused about talking about putting things in the next year's budget this year. Can you sort of explain the mechanics of that to me?
Yeah, the difficulty there, Commissioner, and I completely understand, we haven't even done next year's budget.
Right.
But the complexity there is, this was sprung on us, and obviously we didn't budget for this change. So the best way we could negotiate for this process was to do the in-kind contribution this year, and then try and budget the money for next year. Now, I don't know if it's possible to amend the money for next year. I don't think it is. But I'm 100% fine with coming back to the commission beginning of next year to do that portion once that budget is official.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Commissioner Kleinfeld?
Thank you, Chair. Just the way that he said that, I think, might be a little more confusing. This isn't a budget amendment, it's a contract amendment. So they noted in there that they're going to put that money in the next budget, but we're not actually doing a budget amendment. But he said it in more of a roundabout way. Thank you. I think you understood, but just in case, thank you.
Seeing no other speakers, please vote. Do I have to get up?
The motion passes 13-0.
Thank you. Moving on to 6B, agreement with Dell Azure monetary commitment of $80,000 and three. Jacob?
Chair, can I make a motion to forward to full board?
Support.
Thank you again, Commissioner Zong. Is there support? Thank you.
Commissioners, this is another one of those maintenance items that we're really bringing to you. Last year, we moved some of our backups into the cloud so that we have the ability, if something bad happens inside the county, that we can restore from outside the county. So at that point in time when we did that, it also goes with cloud hosting and consumption of credits on that cloud hosting, and that's really what we pay Azure for, which is a Microsoft product, to host our data in the cloud. And that's what this amount of $80,000 is for. It is not a fixed amount. It is, from what I understand, between around about $65,000 to $80,000 per year.
Thank you. I see no speakers. so we can vote. Commissioner Zong?
Thank you, Chair. I did have a question. Jacob, what kind of data is being stored, like the website and what else?
The website is not stored on
Okay.
that specifically because our website is hosted outside in the cloud already, and we have a backup agreement with the company. But any data on our network that we need to save, and there's a whole methodology to that. All that data is saved on a system that we have internally in the county. We always had two systems in the county, so we would then take that data and copy it over to the other one so that it's always available. But geographically, we have concerns because, as you know, with the power outage in 2003, I think, everything was down. So in a scenario like that, if you have it in the cloud, you can still restore and have certain people do certain jobs, critical jobs, things like that. So what we decided, and also because of ransomware, we've decided to move a portion out into the cloud, and that's what we did.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Commissioner Matusik?
Jacob, you partially answered my question, which is how secure are we in terms of ransomware? Do we have policies in place? Have we divided up our data? I mean, what?
Yeah, we actually just received recently from NACO, and we're still investigating that, but we received from NACO an assessment of what your cybersecurity posture should look like. And I can tell you, I went through each one of them, and we have pretty much checked all the boxes. There's one or two areas where it's a little iffy. We have to look at that. Obviously, it's very expensive. But as a county, I think we are doing pretty well.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome. I see no other speakers, but I do have a question. So the Azure facility has generator backup, power backup, so you mentioned the widespread power outage in 2003. The other question is if there's a widespread power outage in this whole area, are we going to have communications to Azure?
We will have communications, not necessarily from our offices. It all depends on what the outage is. But you might not be able to connect from your offices. But what you might be able to do is to go off-site to a different location and connect from there. Because if from there you have access to the internet, you're fine. If you remember in 2003, one of the things that happened was even the cell towers and things went out. So we really didn't have any communication. So if you move out of the geographical area to a point where you can do that, then you will be able to connect and do certain critical functions.
Thank you. Seeing no other speakers, please vote.
The motion passes 13-0.
Thank you. Moving on to item 6C, a request for full board approval requested at committee, COVID purchase of Genesis System Integration FTR system for juvenile court. This would be with CARES Act funding for $29,601. Do I hear a motion to approve? Motion to approve. Thank you. Support. Thank you.
Commissioners, this request is, the reason, number one, we're bringing it to the board, although it's only $29,000, is because we've spent a significant amount of money with FTR, the company Genesis, already. So it is cumulatively adding up. This is because the 16th Judicial Court want to use that courtroom in the juvenile court. That's building has been kind of abandoned, but we're reusing it at the moment. They want to use that court to catch up on their backlog of cases due to COVID-19. So what we're going to do is outfit that court with a a full system so that they can have their hearings there and do the backlogs, and then once they're done with that and we're not moving forward, we can then pull that system out and either reuse it or use it as backup system in the county. That system is very critical for the courts because they cannot have a hearing without that. It provides their video, audio, recording, and all of that of all the court cases. And those are saved off so that they can revisit that at any time.
Thank you. Commissioner Brown?
Pass.
Okay. Commissioner Matusik?
This is a request to purchase equipment to increase capacity to do things.
That's correct.
Do we have extra people to do this? I mean, I know this is not technically your department, but it seems to me if we're adding equipment so that we can catch up on a backlog, that there should be a corresponding increase in personnel or hours or reassignment. I mean, otherwise, who's using the equipment?
I don't know exactly
Yeah.
that answer, but I can tell you, knowing Julie, they will definitely have a plan for that, and I can ask Julie to reach out to you and provide you that information if you need that.
I would like that. It just seems
Okay.
logical to me if we're purchasing equipment, someone's got to use it, and I'm wondering who that is.
Absolutely. I will get that information to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Farrington?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a question. You said you're bringing it to us because Genesis FTR has accumulated quite a bit of spending. What's the overall amount that we've spent?
I don't have the exact amount, but I think it is around about 80,000, 90,000. We came,
Just curious.
I think in January, we came to you with the maintenance cost.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Zong?
Thank you, Chair. And Jaco, this question actually might be more for Steve. This is CARES Act funding. I'm curious, how much do we have left of that?
I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, Commissioner, but it's a few million.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
This
you.
is not an issue.
All right, great. Thank you, and thank you, Chair.
Commissioner Zinner?
Thank you, Chair. Jaco, if this, and you may not know the answer to this, if this is for catch-up, are they using this for a determined amount of time, and then they will not need it?
Yeah, we anticipate that this will be used up until a certain point, until they caught up with all their cases. And at that point in time, they will most likely break down that court and return to the main building. Exactly when that is, I have no idea. But same thing, I can get you that information.
Do you believe there will be another use for this?
Absolutely.
Probably, I'm sure.
Yes,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Seeing no other speakers, please vote.
The motion passes 13-0.
Thank you. This is a combined meeting. At this time, I would like to turn the meeting over to the Chair of the Public Safety Committee and Records and Public Safety Committee, Commissioner Romano.
I've been wanting to do this for a long time. Okay. All right, this is officially opening up the Records and Public Safety Committee, a meeting. First item on our agenda, we can bypass the pledge because this is a dual meeting and it's already been said. So we're going to go with first, which is a budget amendment, the Sheriff's Office Justice Assistance Grant increase for $27,082. We have Captain Steve Briney, who's going to explain that to us. First, I need a motion, if I may. Motion by Mr. Kraft. Support. And a support by Mr. Sabatini. Captain Briney, if you would, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today. And Welcome, everybody. I'm glad we're all here with no mask on. It's kind of nice. It's a good feeling. Mine's going to be short here. I'm just asking that you approve a budget amendment requiring the increase in the sheriff's calendar grant fund in the amount of $27,082 or $82 for the following two programs: the Sheriff JAG 18-21 and the Sheriff JAG 19-22. The Sheriff JAG 18-21 will be in the amount of $12,697. The Sheriff JAG 19-22 will be in the amount of $14,385. The money will be used will be used to purchase equipment for the sheriff's office, and the procurement of this equipment does support the Edward Byron Memorial Justice Grant Program goals by enhancing Macomb County Sheriff's policing efforts to ensure a safer community. If there's anything else, I can answer any questions you have.
Commissioners, unless I'm missing something here, I'm looking at speakers and I see none, so I see no, oh, there's, Harold, are you on here? See how much you mean? It doesn't show up. Commissioner Hall, you're up, sir.
Always a pleasure, Chairman.
Thank you.
Sheriff Bronny, how are you?
Good, sir. How are you?
It indicated, could you explain that program just a little bit more for our new commissioners, please?
Sure.
Thank
Sure.
you. That's all I had, Chair.
Got it. Thank you.
So the JAG program is a leading source of federal justice funding to state and local jurisdictions. The JAG program provides state and local governments with critical funding necessary to support a range of program areas, including law enforcement, crime victim, and witness initiatives related to law enforcement. You're welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner Hall. I have Chair Brown up.
Thank you, Captain. Can you introduce your colleague and tell them a little bit about where you fit into the organizational chart in the Sheriff's Department? We've got two captains with us, who are high officials from the Sheriff's Department, but you're going to see many of these captains come before you over the course of the next 2 years presenting budget issues and important issues that the sheriff has, because he may not be able to be here always. So you just give them a little feeling about what your responsibilities are and how you fill in for the sheriff.
Okay, I've been with the sheriff's office for 27 years, or in August it'll be 27 years. I started as corrections officer and moved all the way up to the ranks, and detective bureau, polygraph examiner, internal services, uniform service lieutenant. Worked for Macomb Township for a while. Worked for to build a new substation out there, public safety building. I don't know if you've seen that yet, but that'll be opening soon. But now I'm in charge of uniform services as a captain for the sheriff's office. And Lori Grader-Mish is our new captain also, and she's in charge of jail administration in the jail. So.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank
You're
you.
welcome, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome, Chairman Brown. I gave you a little attitude that because it isn't in my agenda, but I gave you a little attitude there to let him explain. You're certainly welcome. So I don't see any other speakers, so I have a motion. So if we see no other speakers, if you would please vote.
Chair, all you have to do is say, "Don't come at me sideways."
I'm sorry?
I'm joking with Chair
Oh.
Brown.
The motion passes 13-0.
Okay, thank you very much.
This isn't a very joking bunch, though. I'm figuring that out.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Maggio? Mr. Maggio? How did the vote go?
13-0.
Thank you. Item B is a budget amendment to Sheriff's Office, a capital improvement fund. It's the jail mental health surveillance cameras for $66,770. We have Captain Lori Mish and Mr. Van Boort. Before we get into that, I'll need a motion, if I may.
Motion by Hall.
Motion by Hall. Support by Nar. Captain, you're up.
Good afternoon, Chair and Board. Thank you for having me here today. My name is Lori Mish. I am a captain at the Macomb County Sheriff's Office. Like my colleague said, I have been at the Sheriff's Office for 26 years. I am currently a captain. I got promoted back in January, and I am assigned as the jail administrator. As the jail administrator, I oversee the personnel and the inmates inside of the county jail. I am here today with a budget amendment and then a purchase subsequent to that. Would you like for me, Chair, to present the first and then go to the second, or together? Present the first?
You know what, that is, yeah, why don't you just cover both while you're at it, if you wouldn't mind, Captain, because one is an amendment and one is the actual purchase, so go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. We are first requesting a budget amendment from the general fund of the Sheriff's Department in the amount of $66,770 to fund the purchase of surveillance cameras in the mental health area of the county jail. The budget amendment will decrease supplies and services in the Sheriff's Department and increase the capital projects fund in the general fund. We are requesting this in order to purchase the cameras in the mental health area of the Macomb County Jail.
Thank you, Captain. Let me, before I do that, would the maker of the motion be agreeable to including item B on their, or I'm sorry, item C on their motion? We have B was a motion to make. Item C is also included now. Who's the maker of the motion?
Chair, I'd prefer two different votes on this.
I'm sorry?
I'd prefer two different votes on this. One's a budget amendment, the other is the hiring of the company.
So would the maker of the motion like it still in two, or would they like to have them combined? Who is the maker of the motion? Mr. Hall, you're up. Separate it or keep it
Separate it.
together? Separate it?
That's fine.
That's fine. Okay, so we'll have, let me see if we have any questions on. Ms. Kleinfeld, I'm sorry. Go
Well, yeah,
ahead.
my question is on the second one, so if you'd prefer for me to wait till we're voting on that, that's fine with me.
You can. Why don't you go ahead while she's up and
Okay.
ask away.
The first camera purchase with regard to Motor City Technologies, this may be Jaco. Is Jaco still here? Maybe able to do this better than you. The 1.5 million that originally didn't come to us, you remember that issue. That was cameras, that was Motor City Technologies, correct?
That's correct.
Did the original 1.5 go out to bid?
The original 1.5, quite honestly, I don't know that answer. Because when the project started, it was a dual project with.
Excuse me, Jacob, would you go to the microphone so we can all hear you, please?
Sorry.
Thank you.
When the project started, it was two things. The one was the lighting project as well as this portion of it. And then later on, it was split off, and we were asked to do the video portion of it. So I honestly don't know that answer.
Okay, the reason I'm asking is because the reason for not bidding this out is because of the existing relationship from the first 1.5. So I'll vote to move it to full board, but I'd like to see if we put the original purchase out to bid before I vote on full board.
Okay, and I just want to mention also that the rest of the county, when we did the big building project for the county, at that point in time, it was bid out, and that was, Motor City was the approved vendor at that point in time.
For other projects, though, not for the camera situation, correct?
Well, for cameras in this building and other buildings, I'm not talking about the sheriff's office, but
Okay.
still county buildings.
All right, if you could get that
will get
information to
that
me before
information
full
to you.
board, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Song?
Thank you, Chair. The existing cameras are 5 years old. What's the life cycle for the new cameras?
It's very hard to say, but pretty much what happens is when we purchase the cameras, they usually have a 3-year warranty on them. Once that expires, they sometimes extend it for a year or two. They will provide us maintenance on those cameras, and then usually at 5 years or more abouts, they will cut off. Then you cannot get maintenance on those items anymore. In other words, if the camera breaks, we have to install a new camera, number one, and we also have to run a new cable for that camera. Part of this project that makes it extremely difficult is every time we do one run in the jail, it is extremely expensive. So if we do multiple runs at the same time, it makes it much more cost effective, because they have to put conduits in to run it between the different locations.
Okay, yes, I see here it says, 3 years of maintenance is included.
That's correct.
But are there cameras that can last 10 years? Because I feel like
Yes,
5 years, 3 years, that's not a
That-
very long time.
There are cameras that can last 10 years, but what the situation that we have today, the project that Commissioner Kleinfeld referred to, replaced probably about 70% of the cameras in the jail at that point in time. The reason we didn't replace all cameras was because at that time there was also talks of building a new jail. So because of all the uncertainties, it was decided to do the ones that we absolutely have to replace at that point in time, and then leave the rest for later until we have a better idea of what's going to happen.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Okay, we have Commissioner Kraft next.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm not sure if this is a question for the captain or Jaco. Looking at the number of cameras, we currently have 19 analog cameras and there's 9 monitors, but this proposal is for 17 cameras and 8 monitors. Can you account for the reduction?
Yeah, the cameras obviously is more advanced, and we are able to have 360-degree cameras. I think there's 1 or 2 of them. So it all depends on how they need to be laid out.
That was what I figured your answer would be. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome, Commissioner. Told you they're going to ask, Jaco.
That's good, Commissioners. Good
Okay,
questions.
I see no other speakers, so let's do a motion on item B. There was a motion and a support, so if there's no other questions, let's just vote on item B, if we would, please.
We haven't voted on A yet, Chair.
Sir?
Not voted on A yet. Yep.
Where you been? We did vote on it. We're voting now on B. You all right there? Harold, you okay?
The motion passes 13 to 0.
Veronica's fault, she misled you. All right, we're on item C, and I think that's been discussed. Unless we have any speakers on item C, I'll need a motion
Harold,
and
you made the
support.
motion.
Motion by Nard,
Support.
support by Commissioner Hall. If you would please vote. Thank you, Captain.
The
Thank you,
motion
Jacob.
passes 13 to 0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item D, it's a budget amendment for the prosecutor's office, coronavirus emergency supplemental funding, CESF, for part-time staff, associated equipment, $97,726. Prosecuting attorney, Peter J. Lucido. I'll need a motion and support so that people are aware this is going to full board. There's other details have to be made.
So moved.
Motion by Nard, support by
Zinner?
Zinner. Prosecutor Lucido, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members of the board. It's great to see you in live, in action, all the time, every time. This is budget neutral. It's not always that I can come here and say that. We had made a plea to the state police, and they received a worthy plea to give us some money. It's for 2 part-time prosecutors. It starts July 1st. It ends December 31st. And that will help in every bit of effort to get individuals into a courtroom and start the backlogging of these files. So we're asking for this budget amendment, and we'd ask for your indulgence of the same for a vote. Any questions? I stand ready to supply.
Thank you, Prosecutor. Do we have any speakers on? Oh, hold on one second. Commissioner Hall.
Thank you. I just want to congratulate our new prosecutor on obtaining the grant. Good job.
Thank you.
Buster.
We are looking for every hole with any money in it, and we're going to send every rabbit we can down it to fish it out.
Keep going.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prosecutor. Commissioner Hall. I'm sorry, my fault this time. Commissioner Song.
Thank you, Chair. Hi, Prosecutor. Nice to finally meet you in person. The grant includes the laptops and the docking stations. Does that include IT support for setting it up too?
I'm glad you asked that question. No, it does not. I can only tell you that we were just delighted just to get the two prosecutors on a full-time basis for the 6 months. When they gave us the bonus baby of the laptops and the monitor dockings, as well as the 2 desk phones and printers, we were even more delighted. But unfortunately, our ports are there, they should be in place, and I should have the capability of just getting these plugged in and ready to roll. If not, then there will be Mr. Jaco. He would have to come over there with his wonderful IT department and get us rolling. But a start is a start. I hope to finish the job.
Okay, great. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Good question.
Thank you, Commissioners. I don't see any other speakers, just something I want to add to that. When this was first presented to this board, as we do know, Prosecutor Lucito's been having he has some tremendous financial problems trying to get what he wants to have done. All this is doing is allowing him to obtain these grants, and time is of essence because these grants, I believe, expire in December. So the sooner that we can get this on board and up to the full board, and he can work with other departments involved in here, the sooner that we can get this money for him and he can go ahead and continue with his good work that he's been doing. And it's always a pleasure to see you, Prosecutor Lucito. Oh,
Thank you.
well, you're not on here. I can't ask for you. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Commissioner Wallace. Go ahead, Commissioner Wallace.
All right. So for these positions, are these positions open? Do you already have people for them, or how will you proceed with that?
Another good question. Everything has to go through its process, I see, in the county government as well as the state government. As such, we have to post for these positions. And as the chair has indicated, time is absolutely of the essence, because every day after July 1st that I don't have somebody there, it's a waste of money because, of course, not filling the positions mean we can't get them in the courtroom. So we have to post. We intend to do the same after your approvals. And more importantly, then we have to go through the interview process and get them on board, and that would give me about 2 weeks. Thank you. Oh, if you know any candidates, have them go ahead.
Thank you, Commissioner Wallace. Commissioner Song.
I withdraw my request.
This is terrible. You know, that's what happens when you get old. Commissioner Wallace just spoke. We have Commissioner Kraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's because my name is so short on there, you need your glasses.
That's what it is. I couldn't see it. Sorry.
Mr. Prosecutor, when the grant runs out and the funding runs out, is this part of your continuing to come to us for filling the positions and for dollars for those positions?
I'm glad you asked that question. Only time will tell. I'm going to notify our district court judges in all 10 of the district courts, and some of them have 4 courts. Some of them have 4 courts, meaning 4 judges. Some of them have 3. Some have 2 and 1. I will be asking them to stack that deck as high as they can to give me as many cases as they can so that we can send 2 assistant prosecutors down there at the same time, 1 for trial, 1 to take pleas, and the assistance of my first-year law students, second-year law students, and third-year we're using right now to put pleas on the records to assist the court, and the courts are doing a great job with the interns that are non-paid. But we brought 38 of them in and trained them.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome. You know, that in response to that question, Commissioner Kraft, and I think we've had this situation come up before, and we weren't too happy about when they had to keep hiring them when they are on part-time basis. And I understand your question, and I think he explained it pretty well. You cross every bridge and we come to it. Hopefully down the line, 6 months, there's money of us to continue with who you have, because now they're probably seasoned somewhat in 6 months, but we'll cross that bridge as we come to it. So I think that was a pretty good question. Any other commissioners that wish to speak? I see nobody else on board. We have a motion and a support. Commissioners, would you please vote?
The motion passes 13-0.
Thank you, Mr. Prosecutor. We certainly appreciate you coming down. It's nice to see you in person.
Nice to see you, Mr. Chairman, and members of the board. Thank you for your time. Have a great day.
Thank you. Before we get into new business, I think we have some people here. We know who Mr. Schmiegel is, and we know who Vicky. Does everybody know who Vicky is? I mean, we've talked to her so long, for so many times, and that. Okay, and we know who Jaco is, and we know our illustrious Mr. Schmiegel, but it's kind of nice today to see everybody in live person and have even the people that come before us speak to us. So I'm going to move on to new business. Is there anybody here with new business? Any commissioners? Well, we don't want to do any correspondence because there is none, so we have none. So let's go to new business. Anybody with new business? I don't see any hands. I don't see smiles.
Mr. Chair,
I see a couple of hands. I see a couple of smiles. We'll start on my right.
I tried the button. I don't know if it came.
You'll go right ahead.
Thank you. I don't know if I would say regularly, but on a regular basis to appoint.
Commissioner, if you could speak,
Speak.
if everyone could pull the microphone, so it's hard to hear because of these
Pull that microphone.
sound systems with these
There you go.
glass.
Thank you.
Okay.
It's
Thank
kind
you.
of muffled a little bit, so
Can you hear me
just
now?
speak up.
Louder.
Can you hear me now?
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. On a regular basis, whatever that is, I receive communication from citizens in regard to the assistant prosecutors under Eric Smith who are charged. And they are very unhappy that they are receiving their pay and their benefits. And I'd like to make a motion, but I'm not going to make a motion because the lawyers have told us that it would cost the taxpayers more money, and of course, we don't want to do that. But I just want it stated on record that I'm sure we all feel the same way. There are many citizens who are very, very unhappy about it. And I just hope that it would move faster, and I hope that when it gets to where it's supposed to be, that justice will be appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Zinders. Duly noted. Any other commissioners that wish to speak? Commissioner Kraft?
Thank
New
you,
business.
Mr. Chair. Two things real quick. Last night, the Community Mental Health Board had our meeting, and I want to thank our staff for helping us get situated, and it's kind of a test run for today. It'll get better for all of us. And then second, Yoga at the Hill is on Saturday. Don't forget. I know Commissioner Farrington's very excited. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Kraft. Any other commissioners? Commissioner Matuzik.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Now that we're back in person, which makes me very happy, I have, however, been contacted by constituents who really liked being able to participate remotely. They like to be able to watch us as opposed and to offer comments during public comments or whatever without having to drive down here. We've learned a couple of lessons from the pandemic, and one is that sometimes remote makes life easier. And I don't know what systems we have in place that could be possible to continue to allow public participation from afar. But I would like us to consider that. I think public participation is really important. When the very first meeting, when I sort of didn't want to eliminate the evening one, I sort of stated public participation is an important concept to me, and I think we all learn things from citizens coming forward. So I don't know how technically that is possible since we're here, but I would really like us to explore that option of still having a remote possibility for members of the public to participate.
I think our chair has noted that. The chair has noted that. We have any other commissioners who wish to speak? I look to my right, I see none. I look to my left, I see none. Let's do a couple here, if I may. First of all, I want to mention that today is Thursday. Sterling Heights has their farmers market, and that's at Utica Road in Dodge Park, and that's at 7 o'clock. And they also have music in the park. In fact, farmers market's going on now from 3 to 7, and then they have their music in the park, and it's free to any participants who would like to, or any residents, any citizens who would like to show up. Let me rephrase that again. Any person who would like to show up, they're more than welcome to music in the park. And the other thing I want to do is I'd like to really give a shout out to the person we're going to lose as of tomorrow, and that'd be Mr. Keys. Michael will no longer be with us. He has done a tremendous job. Anybody that can work with me and teach me what I've learned has had to do a tremendous job. And I just want everybody to know that I personally appreciate him. I'm sure everybody here has appreciated him, even the new people who have worked with him for the last 6 months. He's going to be sorely missed. And Commissioner Matuzak, in response to your thing about remote, I think once we get fully staffed and we get some new people in, it's not a bad idea. And like I said, I'm sure the chair has noted it. And having no further comments, I opened up a can of worms. Commissioner Van Sickle.
Thank you, Chair. Based on your comment, seeing how we've lost 3 staff members in the last short bit, I would like to compliment the remaining survivors.
That's one way to put it.
I'm sure they're going crazy with the increased workload, and I just want to publicly acknowledge that we very much appreciate our staff who is still here. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank
I think
you.
that's
And
a good
don't
idea.
you dare
I think
leave.
you all deserve it. Okay, now I need a motion for adjournment. Anybody willing to?
Motion to adjourn.
There's no-
Motion by Sabatini.
Anybody from public participation? Seeing none, hearing none. My next day, Mr. Kraft, adjournment. I need a
Support.
second.
Support,
Mr.
Farrington.
Sabatini. Commissioners, please vote. And that's how you have a meeting.
Motion passes 13 to 0.
Don't forget to log out.